Hello everyone, you're now with me, Ruben Gomez for TVS Nightline. Now, let's move on to the news. With the recent acceptance of COVID-19 vaccine booster shots by the government, Health Minister Khairy Jamaluddin said the booster shots will be administered beginning early October. Priority will be given to people with underlying medical conditions or high-risk groups, such as elderly with comorbidities, frontliners with serious health conditions, those with weak immune systems, and those working at elderly care centres.
Polisi pelaksanaannya akan kita umumkan dalam masa yang terdekat, tetapi kita telah kenal pasti golongan rentan ataupun golongan berisiko tinggi yang mana akan mendapat keutamaan. Antaranya adalah warga emas yang mempunyai komorbiditi ataupun masalah kesihatan yang kronik, petugas barisan hadapan yang mempunyai penyakit ataupun yang berisiko tinggi, mereka yang ada sistem imun yang lemah, dan juga mereka yang berada dan juga bekerja di pusat jagaan warga emas. Ini kita utamakan dahulu. Selepas itu kita akan buka kepada golongan-golongan yang lain. Yang ini kita mungkin akan dapat melaksanakan pada awal bulan Oktober untuk kumpulan pertama ini, insyaAllah.
Khairy Jamaluddin said based on the COVID-19 fatality rates and hospitalization data, the majority of the cases involved senior citizens and those with serious illness such as diabetes, heart problems and high blood pressure. KJ said his ministry is currently gathering intel from each vaccine manufacturers, which will be rallied to the National Pharmaceutical Regulatory Agency, NPRA, for approval. Currently, NPRA has only approved the two-dose regime, which is set to complete within 1 to 2 weeks nationwide. Prime Minister Datuk Sri Ismail Sabri Yaakob today announced the COVID-19 care package PPC, which is expected to benefit about 3.6 million B40 households in preparation for the COVID-19 endemic phase. The PPC assistance, totaling more than 471.6 million ringgit, included 4 reusable face masks and 4 COVID-19 self-test kits for each household.
Besides face masks and COVID self-test kits, each family will also be given a pulse oximeter, a thermometer, as well as user guidelines and health brochures. Ismail Sabri said the PPC would be distributed first to recipients of the Bantuan Prihatin Rakyat or BPR who are married. The group includes those who are married with or without children or single parents with children. The Prime Minister added that currently there are 8.4 million BPR recipients.
As the nation prepares to enter the endemic phase, current developments show that there are still new COVID-19 clusters being detected among certain sectors as a result of the society becoming complacent and failed to observe SOPs. Finance Minister Tengku Datuk Sri Zafrul Tengku Abdul Aziz said the public must remain vigilant and continue to adhere to standard operating procedures when the government reopens more sectors.
Kita dah macam okey, back to normal, tak payah lagi dah nak follow SOP. Kita dapat lihat even dari segi sosial juga, aktiviti-aktiviti sosial ramai juga yang macam dah lupa.
At the same time, Tengku Zafrul said the Finance Ministry was open to helping those economically impacted by the COVID-19 pandemic, adding that for the first time in the nation's history, the ministry had issued a pre-budget statement PBS for budget 2022. He said the people have also been given the opportunity to engage with ministry officials virtually and in writing, while public consultation papers are issued for experts' in-depth views.
Jadi itulah dua fokus kita untuk membantu rakyat dan juga membantu perniagaan buat masa terdekat ini dan juga membuat perancangan untuk tahun 2020 supaya negara kita pulih semula. Ya, kita agak optimistik. Kita dapat lihat fokus ataupun unjuran IMF dan World Bank untuk Malaysia tahun depan adalah agak positif.
Besides this, Tengku Zaful, who is also PPN Coordinating Minister, said PPN is a dynamic plan that uses current data for decisions to be brought to the National Security Council (MKN) and the Pandemic Management Committee. Commenting further, he said where decisions are concerned, PPN uses the latest reports not only sourced within Malaysia but also internationally. Recently, the shipment of Siemens single-photon emission computed tomography or SPECT have arrived at the Nuclear Department in Sarawak Heart Centre. According to the Minister of Local Government and Housing, Datuk Sri Dr. Sim Kui Hian, the device will increase the capacity of the departments in supporting cancer services.
With SPECT, cancer patients will no longer need to travel to West Malaysia for treatments. Sim said the standard norm for Ministry of Health MOH is practical for West Malaysians, but it is the opposite for Sarawak due to its sparse population over a large geographical area. SPECT by itself costs about 48.5 million ringgit. It is the third device from 7 other medical equipment that has been approved by MOH for 2020 and 2021. The grand total of expenditure for these 7 equipments is 261 million ringgit.
At the same time, Datuk Sri Dr. Sim Kui Hian also addressed the need for Sarawak to have its own cancer centre. The discussion was near to finalisation but was dissolved as the federal government shifted power. Sim will be spearheading the third discussion with Prime Minister Datuk Sri Ismail Sabri Yaakob and Health Minister Khairi Jamaluddin.
Sarawak is confident with the leadership of both Ismail and Khairi, the project will be approved. Although discussions will start all over again, Sim said the cancer centre will ultimately remove the need for cancer patients in Sarawak to travel to West Malaysia for cancer treatments. This is of great importance as cancer is the second most prominent disease in Sarawak after heart disease. Sim revealed that cancer treatment is extremely expensive and many will not able to cover the cost even with insurance coverage. He thanked the Chief Minister, Datuk Patinggi Abang Johari Tun Openg, who offered financial options to the federal government so that Sarawakians can have the best cancer facility locally as soon as possible.
Now, farmers or entrepreneurs have been urged to utilize the digital platform to boost sales and improve profits of their pineapple produce. Tapping on the new trend of purchasing goods online, the farming industry in Dalat has the potential to expand its horizon from a cottage industry to a major player in the near future, while penetrating both domestic and international market segments.
Satu hari nanti kawasan kita akan menjadi tempat yang boleh menghasilkan nanas secara besar-besaran, secara komersial dan juga produk hilirannya. Produk hiliran daripada nanas itu sendiri juga dapat kita hasilkan melalui insyaAllah dalam perancangan kita harap dapat dalam rancangan Malaysia ke-12 ini mini industri akan dapat kita bina di Dalat dan di situ nanti di mana di mini estate mini industri mempunyai iaitu anjung usahawan.
Fatima, who is also the Dalat Assemblywoman, believes that the success stories of the young entrepreneurs involved would inspire more youth to venture into agrobiz. She also gave her assurance that the government will constantly provide assistance towards the local traders.
Kita melihat bila mereka berjaya, mereka bukan saja dapat menjana pendapatan untuk diri sendiri, generate income. Mereka juga dapat memberi pekerjaan kepada orang lain.
Here's another story. A father panicked this afternoon after his child was locked out of his car and with no way to open the doors to get to his boy toddler. The frantic father had to call the fire and rescue department for help. A team of fighters from the Sibujaya fire station rushed to the scene upon receiving a distress call at 4:52 p.m. The child was freed from his ordeal of being trapped in his own car, which lasted for about half an hour.
Setibanya 4 anggota kami di lokasi, didapati terdapat seorang kanak-kanak lelaki berusaha setahun 3 bulan terperangkap di dalam kereta jenis berdua MIRI yang terkunci. Pada mulanya, anggota terlibat cuba menggunakan pembali besi dan batang besi untuk membuka pintu kereta, namun tidak berjaya. Bimbang akan anaknya berada di kereta terlalu lama, ayahnya memberi kebenaran kepada anggota bamba untuk memecahkan cermin kereta dengan menggunakan batang besi. Pintu kemudian berjaya dibuka dan anak pemilik kereta dikeluarkan dalam keadaan yang selamat pada jam 5.13 petang. Syukur anaknya selamat dan terus diserahkan kepada bapanya.
Therefore, Pandi advised all parents to always stay vigilant and never let their children stay in the car even for a while.
Jangan tinggalkan anak dalam kereta walaupun sekejap. Selalu ingat dan lihat sebelum mengunci pintu kereta. Tengok di pintu kereta belakang sebelum keluar dari kereta dan pastikan semua keadaan selamat.
Hai semua, jangan lupa saksikan Inspirasi TVS segmen berita yang mengetengahkan laporan berkaitan rakyat, hiburan serta topik trending.
Inspirasi TVS dan saya Melissa Francis.
Saya Hairi Francis.
Saya Dewi Liana Suryasta.
Dan saya Tony Yusof.
Saya Bob Yusof akan menemani anda.
Dan saya Mahmud Ali Bashar.
Dan saya Nana Shimi.
Dan saya Anding Indrawani.
Ada juga topeng yang dipakai itu kita merasa seperti mana nenek moyang kita melakukan babak itu.
Orang ulu ni jalan pergi ke kebun ke rumah ke. Jadi ini alat yang untuk orang bawa bayi dah. Jadi sekarang banyak yang dibuat hiasan.
Motif of dragon in the West, they consider it as an evil power, a blessing or as a sign of fortune.
A day in Kelantan is not enough, trust me. There's so much to see and explore. But what is the story behind Ketam Guri, adorned by this mysterious lady?
And I love patterns in textiles because it tends to tell a story.
Made up of hundreds of threads with embosses of gold and silver threads, Songket is without a doubt a supreme and unique masterpiece of the Malay world.
Welcome to Take Me to Sarawak, the travel show that takes you on a journey for great food, culture, and meeting interesting people in little-known places. Follow me as I rediscover my homeland. Every Sunday, 9:30 PM, only on TVS Channel 122 Astro and MyTV. Arang kita rawan.
Now we're back. Sarawak recorded 20 COVID-19 fatalities today, where 3 of the total cases were brought in that BID. This brings the cumulative number to 689. Meanwhile, a total of 136 active clusters in the state, with 16 of them recorded 67 new COVID-19 infections.
3 clusters has ended after no new infection were reported in the past 28 days. The clusters are Peligong Cluster in Seratok, Tanjung Tuang Cluster and Bandar Riau Cluster in Semarahan. One new cluster emerged, being a workplace cluster dubbed the Jalan Taman Raja Cluster in MIRI. Malaysia recorded 14,954 new COVID-19 infections today, dipping below the 15,000 case mark. Of the total cases, 243 or 1.6% are in category 3, 4 and 5. This brings the cumulative number of cases to 2,097,830 cases. Sarawak recorded the highest number of infections today with 2,707 cases, followed by Selangor with 2,028 and Johor 1,948. Kuching district recorded the highest number of infections with 697 cases, followed by Bintulu with 355 and Cebu 333. Today, total cases in the state sees that only 7 cases, or 0.26%, are under Category 3, 4 and 5.
The people shouldn't be worried over the supplies of the test kit, as there are currently 5.342 million of this test kit in the market, distributed by 199 pharmacies and clinics throughout the country, have started to sell. The lateral flow sold at a ceiling price of RM19.90 each.
Jadi untuk pemeriksaan di bawah RTK ujian pantas kendiri ini, kita telah laksanakan sebanyak 1,999 pemeriksaan. Dan daripada situ kita dapati ada 199 premis tidak termasuk pada hari ini yang menjual di bawah harga yang ditetapkan oleh kerajaan. Jadi ini adalah satu isyarat yang bagus, menunjukkan bahawa peniaga-peniaga juga sedia memberikan kerjasama yang baik kepada pengguna-pengguna kita, di mana mereka sanggup untuk membekalkan dengan harga yang lebih rendah.
Based on the ministry inspection throughout 1,999 pharmacies and clinics in the country, Azman said they are fully complied with the ceiling price set by the government. Meanwhile, at the moment, he said there are 18 companies given permission by the Health Ministry to supply and manufacture the self-test RTK antigen kit to ensure sufficient supply.
Only about 1.8% of the adult population remains to be vaccinated against COVID-19 for Malaysia to achieve the 80% herd immunity for adults. As of Saturday, 78.2% of the country's adult population have been fully vaccinated. This month, the vaccination rate was much higher in certain states as efforts are focused on states which still have low vaccination rates, namely Kelantan, Pahang, Kedah, Perak and Sabah. The vaccination coverage in most states is on track, especially in Sarawak, Labuan and in the Klang Valley, covering Selangor, Kuala Lumpur and Putrajaya. However, it did not mean that vaccination efforts were being slowed down, adding that instead, it was mainly focused on certain states and areas, including groups inadvertently left out. The daily vaccination rate recorded yesterday was 232,559 doses, with the highest number of doses administered in Sabah, Johor and the Klang Valley. On vaccination involving persons with disabilities, PWD, Dr. Adam said, according to data from the COVID-19 Immunization Task Force, CITF, a total of 517,447 out of 575,564 PWDs, or 89.9%, had received at least one dose. Meanwhile, 401,425 of them have been fully vaccinated, covering 69.74% of PWDs registered for the COVID-19 vaccine. The recent 14-day quarantine exemption for entry to Sarawak for travellers with complete vaccination records provided relief to those who wishes to enter Sarawak for various reasons. Based on TVS survey at Cebu Airport, many have acknowledged that with the relaxation, journey into Sarawak has undoubtedly become easier and save time.
Saya rasa okey lah sebab tidak payah kuarantin kan, mudahkan kita untuk datang bah. Sebab macam sebelum ni kan kita datang kan mesti mau kuarantin. Tapi kalau mau kuarantin kan tidak ditanggung bah tu kos kuarantin. Lebih jimat masalah sebab untuk kami student kan kami harus datang awal 14 hari bah sebelum tu sekolah kita start. Itulah untuk ini senang sikit lah tiap payah datang awal kah, boleh datang sebelum sekolah start je.
Okey, untuk SOP yang terbaru kemasukan ke Sarawak memudahkan bagi kami yang luar negeri lah, contoh dari Sabah ataupun Semenanjung. Contohnya macam saya kerja di Sarawak, untuk masuk ke sini semula sangat mudah lah. Sangat mudah lah sekarang. Saya balik ke Sarawak ni atas urusan bekerja. Ya. Memang kerja sini lah. Memang kerja sini. Saya sebagai seorang guru. Betul. Sekarang sangat jimat masa kerana hanya diperlukan swab test dengan enter Sarawak dengan permit polis itu sahaja. Untuk bagi yang kerja lah.
Buat masa tu yang untuklah yang terbaik. supaya melancarkan lagi lah perjalanan rakyat kita masuk dalam Sarawak. Ria untuk urusan dokumentasi lah untuk bersara dalam tentera. Untuk yang arahan terbaru ataupun SOP terbaru tu lagi bagus lah, lagi jimat masa.
Earlier, Sarawak State Disaster Management Committee (SDMC) has abolished the 14-day quarantine for fully vaccinated individuals who wish to enter Sarawak from 16 September 2021. However, such travellers need to apply to enter the state by filling out the Enter Sarawak form and e-health declaration form online and submit several documentation, such as proof that they are fully vaccinated, a negative RT-PCR test result taken 3 days prior to their departure, and a police permit.
Now, all private kindergartens in states under Phases 1 and 2 of the National Recovery Plan (NRP) can finally resume operation. The relaxations to allowed operation of kindergartens from last Friday includes all private kindergartens and kindergartens at private schools, international schools and expatriate schools that are registered with the Ministry of Education, MOE. MOE explained that the operation of these kindergartens is subject to classroom capacity with the required physical distancing. Earlier, as announced by Prime Minister Dato' Sri Ismail Sabri Yaakob, the relaxations of COVID-19 prevention standard operating procedures of the PPN for several sectors also informed that kindergartens, nurseries, daycare centres and mental development centres are allowed to reopen in states under Phase 1 and 2 of the PPN. Sarawak Teachers Union (STU) is confident that with a vaccination made available, 14th face-to-face school sessions will resume early October. STU President Adam Prakash said the continuous implementations of vaccine injection to students, as announced by the Minister of Health, Khairy Jamaluddin, provides confidence that returning to school is safe for students.
Dengan SOP yang ketat, STU yakin pembukaan sekolah itu nanti tidak memberi masalah kepada anak-anak yang balik ke sekolah, dan kita juga berharap seperti yang telah dimaklumkan oleh Yang Berhormat Khairy Jamaluddin bahawa proses pemvaksinan juga akan terus dilaksanakan di sekolah-sekolah apabila sekolah dibuka nanti.
STU hopes that the Ministry of Health and the Sarawak State Disaster Management Committee (SDMC) will continue to monitor the school area in addition to advising the school management of the guidelines for schools as they are set to reopen.
Kita berharap apabila sekolah itu dibuka nanti, pihak KKM, pihak Pengurusan Bencana Negeri Sarawak, Jabatan Pendidikan Negeri Sarawak, PPD, akan terus memantau keadaan di Sarawak dan memberi nasihat dan juga ketetapan sekiranya sekolah bersedia dan selamat untuk dibuka.
Private employment agencies that are registered with the Ministry of Human Resources are advised not to make any statements or advertisements that mislead employers on entry of foreign maids into the country. It is generally known that the majority of foreign maids in the country are from Indonesia. As of now, the ministry was still in negotiations with the Republic MOU on the recruitment of Indonesian domestic helpers (PDI), which had expired on May 30, 2016. As of August 2021, there were a total of 92,481 foreign maids in the country, and of this, 94,000 foreign workers, including foreign maids, would be announced by the government after discussion with the National Security Council (MKN), Home Affairs Ministry, Health Ministry, and the relevant ministries.
Paparan bantras akan menyebabkan radang paru-paru yang teruk.
Tiada bukti untuk menunjukkan sebarang kesan buruk.
Dah tak ada apa dah.
Ni seminggu saya tak bangun. Saya dah larilah, Jok.
Pastikan anda bersama kami Bantras COVID-19 setiap Isnin jam 10 malam.
I believe that if anyone has the longing to explore a new experience and craft in life, one must take that chances and see where it leads you. You may excel, and you may also hit the wall in the process, but the lessons learned will be the greatest teacher. Let the Mirian and Sarawakian have for healthier fat in bakery.
Welcome back. Now, moving on to some global updates. More than 10,000 primarily Haitian migrants were bivouacked in a squalid camp under a bridge in southern Texas on September 18, as hundreds more headed toward the border in a growing humanitarian and political challenge for U.S. President Joe Biden.
U.S. authorities moved some 2,000 people to other immigration processing stations on September 17 from the Texas border town that has been overwhelmed by an influx of Haitian and other migrants. While some migrants seeking jobs and safety have been making their way to the United States for weeks or months, it is only in recent days that the number converging on Del Rio, Texas has drawn widespread attention. Department of Homeland Security said that in response to the migrants sheltering in increasingly poor conditions under the Del Rio International Bridge, it was accelerating flights to Haiti and other destinations within the next 72 hours. DHS added it was working with nations where the migrants began their journeys, such as Brazil and Chile, to accept the returned migrants. Officials on both sides of the border said most of the migrants were Haitians. U.S. Custom and Border Protection was sending 400 additional agents to the Del Rio sector in the coming days. DHS said after the border agency said that due to the influx, it was temporarily closing Del Rio's port of entry and rerouting traffic to Eagle Pass, 92 km east. Del Rio's Mayor Bruno Lozano said there were now just over 14,000 migrants under the bridge. A mass expulsion of Haitians at Del Rio is sure to anger immigration advocates who say such returns are inhumane considering the conditions in Haiti, the poorest nation in the Western Hemisphere.
The quartet of newly minted citizen astronauts comprising the SpaceX Inspiration 4 mission safely splashed down in the Atlantic off Florida's coast on September 18, completing a 3-day flight of the first all-civilian crew ever launched into Earth orbit.
SpaceX Crew Dragon capsule, dubbed Resilience, parachuted into calm seas around 7 p.m. EDT shortly after sunset, following an automated re-entry descent. Within an hour, the 4 smiling crew members were seen emerging one by one from the capsule's side hatch after the vehicle, visibly scorched on its exterior, was hoisted from the ocean to the deck of SpaceX recovery vessel. Each of the 4 stood on the deck for a few moments in front of the capsule to wave and give thumbs up to the cameras. Each was then escorted to a medical station on board for immediate checkups at sea. After the medical checkup, the amateur astronauts were to be flown by helicopter back to Cape Canaveral for reunions with loved ones. The return from orbit followed a plunge through Earth's atmosphere, generating frictional heat that sent the temperatures surrounding the outside of the capsule soaring to 1,927 degrees Celsius. The astronauts' flight suits, fitted with special ventilation systems, were designed to keep them cool if the cabin heated up. The successful launch and safe return of the mission should boost the fledgling astrotourism sector. SpaceX already ranks as the most well-established player in the burgeoning constellation of commercial rocket ventures, having launched numerous cargo payloads and astronauts to the space station for NASA.
Well, that's conclude TVS Nightline. I'm Ruben Gomez. Anytime, anywhere.